Hi there, my name's Adam Fielding, and welcome to another one of my music making streams. So, as you may have noticed already, I've actually started with a little idea this week. I didn't do a stream last week because, to be honest with you, I wasn't feeling particularly musical. It doesn't happen particularly often these days, but last Thursday, my musical mojo just went completely down the toilet, and I realised instead of sort of pushing through a rubbish stream and doing something that was really, really terrible, it'd make more sense just to kind of chill out, take a step back and kind of reevaluate everything. Which that tends to be the way to get over blocks or stuff like that for me. Like I said, it doesn't tend to happen that often. I tend to have quite a lot of sort of mechanisms to get through writer's block and that kind of thing. But last Thursday I just wasn't feeling it, so I decided to take the week off, and I'm feeling much better for it. So I thought hit the ground running this week with a nice little idea, and we can just kind of go from there really. So this is just a little idea I put together using a Europa which I put together just before the stream started, and a little melodic sequence, and I'll be kind of building around that and we'll see where it goes. So Clobmut said, totally fair to take a break when you need it. Legit super impressed that you come back week after week and write so consistently. That's nice, I appreciate that. So here we go. So this is the little idea I'm going to be working around today. So I thought I'd slow things down a bit this week, given that I don't think I've written anything under 100 BPM for about sort of 2 months or something during these streams. So I thought it might be nice to just slow things down a bit and just see what pops out. So this is going to be my starting point for this week, and I'll just loop this a little bit and show you the Europa patch that I made that powers this little melodic sequence. So here we go. So I got some ideas of what I want to do with that. Nice, simple kind of melodic idea, and I was just kind of messing around with some ideas, and I thought instead of trying to do something from scratch, I quite like this idea. It'd be fun to kind of work on this during the stream and talk about this patch really. So this patch, it's a Europa patch, as you can see, and the only effect I've applied to it sort of post Europa is this echo. So I'll just turn this off while I talk about the patch. So it's not a particularly complicated patch. It uses all three engines. So like a lot of my other patches, every single engine it makes up a very distinct element of the patch. So the first engine kind of provides a nice simple sort of harmonically. It's a synced sine wave wavetable. So it's simple, but there's kind of a touch of sort of harmonic richness in there just to kind of fill it out a little bit. So I feel like each of these engines on their own could be kind of a nice little patch. So that sounds kind of nice tone. It's a very nice pure tone. The two together kind of give a nice sort of round sound to it. And then you have the third engine, which kind of provides a lot of the character of the sound, which is that kind of high sizzling sound there. So I haven't actually used any of the modifiers on engines 1 and 2. Those are just using simple wavetables, and the first engine uses the unison to provide an extra octave. So I think that's just kind of gives an extra octave down, and that just kind of thickens the sound. So if I just play that with and without the unison, so that's with and without, it sounds like. So it really does add a lot to the sound, that extra unison there. Just kind of thickens things out. The second engine doesn't even have a unison, it's just really, really simple. But I quite like simple tones, and I think that could work quite nicely in another track. So those two together work quite nicely. And the third one is the most harmonically complex of the three, I'd say. So it's using an FM wavetable, the FM noise wavetable, in matter of fact, which is also going through a noise mod modifier, which kind of gives it a bit of sort of crispiness. So I'm going to remove the unison and the modifier. So it starts like that. It's it's almost kind of sawtoothy, but with kind of sort of a nice sort of noisy tinge to it. So that goes through the noise mod. It doesn't really do a lot, but if I crank that up, it just gives it a bit of extra noise. So then you give it a bit of unison, and it just widens things out really nicely. So all three together sounds really, really nice. So, yes, that's a nice little patch that I put together just before everything started. So it's not really a lot of modulation going on here, outside of kind of very, very slow engine sweeps and that kind of thing. It's mostly LFO1, which is really, really slow. It's controlling the shape of these first two wavetables just to kind of give a bit of movement there. And LFO3 is also controlling the pitch of all three engines just to kind of give it a very slight kind of wobble there, which is really nice. So I tend to add quite a lot of pitch drift to a lot of my patches, or I tend to add a little bit to quite a lot of my patches. I tend to try not to overdo it. It just kind of gives it a nice bit of motion. So there is a bit of reverb and a little bit of delay on there, but not a huge amount. So I thought I'd kind of fill out the sound with this extra echo. So that's nice. It's kind of this sort of nice sort of sweeping sound. So all that together forms this sort of the sound for this particular sequence. So that is going to be my starting point this week. So I'm basically going to try and do my usual thing of building a block around that, maybe a couple of blocks just to kind of get some things going. I feel like there's a lot of room to mess around with that. And I'm also going to bring in some favorites I haven't used in a while. I realized as well I haven't used the VK2 in a while for bass, and I thought it'd be nice to bust that out again because I really like the sound of it, and I'm not entirely sure why I haven't used it for a while. So before I get into that though, I am going to create an instance of redrum, and we can get some drums going. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing with the drums this time around, but I'm just going to dip into my usual Evolve free folder and just get a kit going. Once we have a kit going, we can kind of figure things out from there. So on something that's not too intense, well, I think that's a bit too deep. That's too much of a knock, I think. I like that, but it's a bit too long. So what I might do is just bring that in, turn the length down. That seems like a very sensible thing to do. So before I go any further, I'm going to bring in my usual drum effects inserts combinator. So just to explain what's going on here, I've also realized I haven't explained what's going on with the maximizer, but I'll get to that in a second. So here we've got the Eve MP5, which is this is a very kind of standard setup for me. This is just kind of introducing a roll off at 20 kilohertz just to kind of, I really like what the MP5 does in terms of smoothing the highs. It's just a really, really nice sound. I'm also boosting the highs, well, the highs are about 12k as well, just to kind of give it a little bit of a lift there. Then there's a bit of pulverizer. I might introduce a bit of dirt this week as well. And then that goes through a kilohertz limiter just to kind of keep the transients under control. So I'm just going to create a very simple 4 on the floor beat, so I can kind of get the levels sorted in the mixer. So I'm just going to flip over to the mixer, press play, and see how it goes. That's actually pretty spot on. Shalgra to it says, any disperser yet? No disperser yet, although that's not a terrible idea, and I hadn't even considered that. So let's go for it. What am I doing? I'm messing around with this. So I'm just going to introduce a little bit of disperser just to kind of get a little bit of a knock. So not too much. So let's just try that. Grab it. 4 on the floor. I'll be watching close so I know when to fire off a copyright claim. I think you're okay. I think I'm okay. Who knows? If this ends up sounding exactly like the tune you've just written, I'm going to feel like a bit of a fool. So excellent. So actually, let's give that a bit more length because I feel like I've kind of killed the bass there. Oh, nice. Grabbits pointed out the EVQs were just on sale in VST form. Excellent. That's also reminded me something I need to check out at some point soon is I still haven't tried out Synapse's Obsession rack extension. I feel like it's about time I tried that out. Something else I haven't used in a while is Largo, and I'm not entirely sure why. That was something else I bust out earlier, and I was like, this is great. I should use it more. Who knows? I might use it later. So that's kind of cool. So let's introduce... I was actually going to change the drums. I was going to go for a 4 on the floor pattern. That was just so I could kind of set the levels and get that right. But I actually kind of like the feel of that, so I'm gonna roll with that. Let's roll with it. So I'm going to go to the claps folder again because I feel like it's been nice just kind of using snappy kind of claps during these streams recently. So that could be cool. Just something sort of short and snappy. So if I just, let's give that a go. Oh, excellent. There we go. The Eve MP5 rack extension is on sale now, so check it out. I highly recommend it. I'm not being paid by Kuasa. It is just a great rack extension. I use it all the time. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but I've actually had it for ages, and it's only really been the last year or two that I've really started to use it all over everything. I'm really not entirely sure why that's the case. I think it's because I tended to use more sort of visual EQ, so like the SSL EQ curve in Reason, that kind of thing. It's only recently that I've started using different. I prefer kind of relying on what I can hear rather than the visual cues nowadays, which is interesting. It's interesting how these things change. But for more surgical stuff, I would tend to use something more precise. Who knows? That might be a thing in a bit. So anyway, so let's add some hats. So I'm probably not going to sequence any hats. I am probably going to be a big dirty cheater and use the old beat map trick again. It's kind of a nice hat. Let's go with that. That's very loud at the moment though, so I'm just going to turn that right down again, and maybe turn the length down a bit as well. So I'm going to create an instance of beat map and turn the kick and snare density right down because I just want it to be triggering hats. Just click on Spawn XY and let's hear what pops out. Here we go. So I've just turned the density down a bit because I thought that was a little too busy. So let's just... Dravitz actually raised a really interesting talking point, which I'm probably not going to go too much into this week, but he said that I keep track of what I use, and if I never use it, bye-bye. And that's actually something that I've started doing over the past couple of years in particular. So I tend to have like a revolving set of things that I have installed from time to time. And I'm really sad. I have like a big spreadsheet of rack extensions and VSTs that I currently have installed and activated, just so if I need to reinstall everything, I can kind of synchronize everything and have it all sorted out. So yeah, so there's a lot to be said for kind of streamlining your instruments and effects setup. Not seeing a lot of love for Waves plugins in the chat. I must admit, I only have one Waves plugin installed, and that's deactivated because I never used it. So make of that what you will. I know that Waves plugins have a reputation for being really good, and I know that they are, like, lots of people use them, and they're you know, for good reason. They're high quality stuff, but they just don't really fit my needs at the moment. So there we go. So let's add some kind of open hat. I'm probably not going to use it straight away, but I might come back to it later. So I'll do. It's a nice open hat. So I'm going to be really original and just draw in a few hats there, and just bring the level down a bit as well. So let's play that. I might also bring in just a little bit of percussion. I might not use it, but I might, so it's being triggered by the beat map. So yeah, that could be kind of neat if I turn the length down. There we go. That's kind of a nice start for the drums. I might add some extra percussive layers in a bit. But for now, I'm just going to leave that as it is, not overcomplicate things. So let's bring that over here, and let's call that drums. Nice little drum pattern there. So I mentioned I hadn't used the VK2 in a while, so I felt it's about time to bust that out, really. So I really like the VK2 for bass sounds, and I'm really not sure why I haven't used it in my streams in a while. I think it's because I tend to turn towards Respire as kind of a safe go-to for bass at the moment. So I'm going to do something that I've done quite a few times before. I'm just going to use a rectangular wave, and actually I'm going to turn that down a bit because that's pretty loud. and set the octave lower. Cool. And I'm going to have the shape controlled by LFO1 and turn the rate right down. And I'm going to close that filter a bit. So that's a nice simple bass sound at the moment. So let's tweak that a bit. Let's have a bit of drive. I want that to have a little more decay. So if I turn the sustain down but the decay up. Let's have a bit more drive on the output there. Let's have a look at the mixer again. So, right, let's just draw in some notes and see what pops out. So, like starting with a D is not a bad shout there. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Let's go back to the D after that. So that'll be nice, I reckon. Let's try that. I find it helps if I extend that as well. There we go. Let's have an extra note there. Cool. Some interesting comments about the bass in the chat. So yeah, so I really like the VK2. Like I've just put that together. You saw me do it. It was very quick, to the point. It's kind of become my go-to in a very similar sort of way that the Poly 6 used to be for this kind of thing. I still use the Poly 6 from time to time, but VK2 has kind of become my go-to for bass drones and stuff like that. And I think as the track goes on, if I open up the filter, that'll sound really nice. Buskin Bills has asked, is the VK2 on HQ setting? I don't believe it is. So it's a monophonic patch, so it should be able to handle it. So I'm just going to leave the oscillator mode alone and turn the drive CPU up. So yeah, you know, yeah, ASM has said, I think you'll really like Synapse Obsession. Yeah, I've got a feeling I'll like it as well. I just need to set aside a good day or so just to really sink my teeth into it. So that'll be cool. So I was thinking I really like that sort of key patch, but it'd be really nice to sort of thicken it with something a bit more organic sounding. So why not turn towards good old Radical Piano, which I haven't used in a while. So I'm just going to set this up. This is kind of my go-to setup for a sort of more intimate, rounded piano sound. So I'm going to set it to upright close and jazz upright jazz rather settings on the microphone blend. Turn the character down more towards the subdued end of the spectrum. Crank up the volume, crank up the compression, crank up the width. Go turn down some of the mechanic sounds because I don't really want them. And I'm going to turn the release up. Basically, once you increase the compression to stupid levels, which is what I tend to do, if you have those mechanical sounds, it's just a bit too much. It's just, you don't need that every time you hear sort of have a note being pressed. So that's quite a nice sound. So I reckon that'll work nicely. So I'm just going to turn the tune drift up a bit as well. So quite a straightforward patch. All I'm going to do is just copy that key pattern from the synth and just pop that into the Radical Piano. And I'll adjust the levels as I go here. So I'm just going to play that. So given that it's a piano, I feel like it'd be nice to introduce some slight timing variants. So I'm going to use the Groove Mixer to introduce some random timing. So I've set it to Groove Mixer channel A1. I've opened up the tool window for the Groove Mixer A1 section here. And I'm just going to increase the random timing on that. So don't want to go too crazy. Let's say 16 ticks and just have a listen, see how that goes. So, save reminder, there we go, I'll just save that. So you may have noticed I've turned down the volume of the save reminder, and I wasn't thinking it was working, but it seems to be working because I didn't just jump out of my skin, which is excellent. So, yay! So I'm gonna copy the echo from the keys patch and put that onto the piano here. I have just saved, by the way. I just pressed Control S because it was now it's too quiet. I need to find a nice middle ground for the save reminder there. I genuinely didn't think the volume control was working because I tried turning it down earlier and it didn't seem to make any difference. So I've overdone it. I've overcompensated. There must be a happy middle ground. So I'm just going to paste that echo in here and just turn down the dry wet a bit. Maybe turn the feedback down, turn the filter up, and let's just have a listen to how that sounds. So it's going through a high pass filter there, just to kind of roll off the lows a bit, as is the key synth as well. That's going through a high pass filter. With the piano, I've actually selected insert pre, so the echo is also going through the high pass filter as well. With that turned off, it would just be the piano sound, and then the filter wouldn't go through that high pass filter. I just wanted everything to go through that high pass filter, just to kind of really cut it out. Not entirely sure why I haven't done that with the keys, so I'm just going to turn that on. Just kind of scoop out the lows so I can fill that up with the bass and the drums. Speaking of the bass, just realised this a 4 on the floor track. I can probably sort of introduce a little bit of pump there as well. So I'm just going to bring in old favourites, pump. Buskin Bills. Just accept the sudden rush of adrenaline. Put it back to full volume. I like your style. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like if I leave it at maximum volume, I don't know. I'll have a heart attack by the time I'm sort of 36. So someone suggested maybe bounce this piano to audio and run through some glitch effects to come in and out. I'm going to keep it as it is for now because I feel like I don't get the feeling that it's going to be a glitchy track, but it might be. I guess I'll see how it goes. I kind of feel like it'd just be nice. I just kind of want to let it breathe a bit to start, but I'm not against that idea. So something else I am going to do, because I feel like this could come in useful later, is I'm going to add an extra piano lane and just transpose that up an octave so I can bring that in later if I need to. You may have noticed I'm being reasonably reserved with my use of reverb this week. It won't be too long before I introduce them, I imagine, but we'll see how long I can go. So I feel like I'm going to add a bit of percussion. So I'm going to dip into my old sample library into percussion and my JVU's organic electronics. This tends to be kind of a nice go-to sample pack. So I'll be processing this. So, and then I'll probably bounce it for when I actually share the project file afterwards. So I'm not just sharing loops that I have no right sharing. So I'm just going to, that's a bit much. I reckon that could work if I process it a bit using Beatformer. So I'm just going to drag that into the track, just loop that for now, turn it down because that's going to be way too loud. So Beatformer has become just a really useful VST that I picked up earlier in the year, and I genuinely did not expect to get this much use out of it. So I'm just going to turn the squash down so it kind of helps it to pop. So I'm actually just going to solo that and leave it playing while I mess around with the settings so you can hear what it's doing. So it's like this kind of gate expander kind of thing. So I'm going to turn the air up a bit as well. So if I bypass this, you'll be able to hear. It is kind of transforming the character of that loop. Excellent. Mitch Mood. I was doing the school run earlier in the week, and every chart song seems to be drenched in reverb. And I remember thinking, man, these sound very Adam Fielding. Damn, man, I've been doing this since I've been overusing reverb since about 2004. I feel like I should have capitalized on that, really. Ah, damn. So, no, I imagine I'll be busting out DR1 in a bit. I was thinking about sticking on this channel, but I quite like the dry nature of that. So, I feel like I don't need the entire second half of that loop. I'm just going to take that and just go with that. Reverb, the MSG of sound. I like that. I'm pretty sure I've heard that before, but it is an excellent, it's an apt analogy. So, Drabbit, I went on a rant about Valhalla stuff earlier today on my stream. I really like Valhalla delay. That's the one I tend to use the most in my own stuff. Although I tend to use echo during the streams just because I feel like everyone has echo and it's cool. But yeah, so... That's really interesting. Some interesting takes on Valhalla from Drabbit. That's really interesting. I must admit the only Valhalla effect I tend to use really regularly is delay, and I've used Supermassive a couple of times. It's neat. I haven't used Shimmer. I've heard Shimmer's really good though. But yeah, I feel like I like my tool set as it is. I feel like it's maybe something I'll dip into in the future, but we'll see. So I feel like what we need is, I feel like this will come in useful later in the track as well when I develop it a bit further. So this is very much the creating the building blocks of what will hopefully become more of a sort of track later on. So I'm going to dip into the factory sound bank and go into the percussive loops and bring on some shakers. So I've gone into the factory soundbank folder because there are shakers in the loop supply folder, but they tend to be mashed up with other drum hits. And I feel like I like kind of the sort of clean hits I've got going on here. I don't want to kind of muddy those up too much. So so I'll steer clear of vintage verb. Noted. So yeah, I'm just going to bring in some shakers and just play it. Let's give that a go. So I'll just copy and paste that. So you may have noticed me doing this thing with the fade in and out, where I'll just kind of give it a really, really, really minuscule fade at the start and end of an audio clip. And that's just so that if you, basically at the end of the clip, it means it ends on a zero crossing point, which is the point at which the waveform hits 0 dB. So if you don't have that, sometimes you end up with loops that kind of pop at the end of a loop or pop at the start. I'm sure you've had it happen to you before. But it's a very, very useful way to avoid doing that, to avoid having that. So I'm not sure if that's the case with the loops I'm using here. And with percussive stuff, especially with when you've got like a hit at the start or the end of the loop, it's less noticeable. So I tend not to do that. A nice sort of start to a track going on here. Tony Bonus said Ableton Live does that fade automatically. You need to watch it. It kills transients. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. I just assumed that was something you had to turn on by yourself. Yeah, no, I tend to. I prefer the approach of having to add it yourself, because as you said, it kills transients if you're unaware of it. Normally with such a minuscule fade time, you're not going to notice it. But if you do have like a particularly kind of poppy sort of howl or kick or something, then it would kill the energy in that, I guess. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. I learned something new today. So I feel like it'd be nice to add some kind of sort of ambient wash type thing. So I'm going to bring my percussive stuff over to this. Look, this is going to be my drum column here. So I'm going to create well, actually, I'm just going to go into my patch library and see what's in there, because I haven't dipped in there in a little while. So let's go patches, patch library, and wait for a second while it opens up, because it's a big old folder. So I'm probably going to stick with one of my ambient Europa patches. I quite like those. So let's have a look. So this will probably be when I start busting out the DR1, by the way. So I'm just going to bring in a patch called Glass Mountains, and I'm just gonna preempt myself and just drown it in reverb, because I know that's why fight it. That's what I'm gonna do. So let's do it. So there we go, and cool. So, and I'm just gonna create an 8-bar section and just have it play one note, I think, because I know. So yeah, that's a nice patch. I quite like that. So I'm just gonna draw. Yeah, let's just have a. Actually, let's have it a bit lower. Yeah, I made you wait for a DR1 this week. Right. Yeah, I'm not sold on that patch. Let's try something else. I like the sound of Nebula. That sounds like a good idea. Let's bring that down an octave. That's better. It's more of a kind of airy, atmospheric thing. I'm pretty sure I use this patch quite a lot now that I think about it, so I'm just going to call that atmosphere. It's just a nice kind of drone. So again, this is a Europa patch. It's from my sound bank called Europa Relay, which you can check out by going to adamfielding.com and checking out the sound banks a little bit at the top, or it's in the Propellerhead shop. Check out Reason Studio shop. My mistake. And again, this kind of split into 3 distinct layers. So I'm just going to dissect this a little bit, because why not? So we've got layer 1 is kind of the sort of watery kind of body. Layer 2, or engine 2, is this kind of more simple sort of sound. And engine 3 is this kind of weird semi-vocally thing that sweeps and drifts in and out of tune. So all 3 together kind of fill out the sound really nicely. So the mod matrix is full of stuff automating other things, and it's just, I love patches like this, and I think it's kind of where Europa excels, in my opinion. Like really slow envelope curves and LFOs, and just letting everything just drift nicely. It's really satisfying. I really like it. And then you drench it in reverb and it sounds even better. So yeah, that's kind of filling out the sound nicely. I think I've overdone it with the reverb time there, so I'm just going to turn that down. And yeah. So I was thinking of changing the note at some point, but I quite like the fact it's just a nice sort of simple, I was going to say static drone, but there's nothing static about that. It's going all over the place. Lots of people talking about getting me DR1 pajamas. I wouldn't say no to some DR1 pajamas. It'd be nice. Wrap myself up in that reverby warmth. So yeah, that should definitely be my arrival of the DR1 sound. So I feel like there's a couple of things I'd love to try out. It'd be nice to have a pad that isn't just a simple drone, actually. So I'm going to go back into my patch library here and just pick a patch that I like the sound of. So Beneath It All, that sounds kind of neat. Not entirely sure that's what synth that is, but let's try it. Oh, it's an Antidote patch. That's interesting. So, yeah, I haven't used Antidote in quite a while, and I've certainly not made a patch from scratch using it in a while. So I'm going to cheat and just create an instance of the Scales and Chords player. I'm pretty sure this is in D minor, so I'm just going to go for that. Well, I'm definitely using that. So that is a lovely sound. Excellent, excellent. Some chat about, so yeah, this is something that I wanted to bring up at some point. It's the fact that I got in touch with Drabbit about having some emotes made for the chat, and yes, definitely open to suggestions, and the DR1 would be, DR1 emoji would be excellent. I keep saying emote instead of emoji. Me no words good. So, save and loon emojis, yep. Yeah, I'm down with all of these ideas, and yeah, so keep the suggestions coming. In fact, I should be making a note of these. Yeah. All right. Cool. Let's. I was gonna add some reverb to this, but I don't have to because it's Antidote, and I believe it uses a reverb that's very similar to the DR1. So I'm just gonna use the Antidote reverb. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just leave that. I might actually set that to use open chords. Well, that's nice. Ah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I want. So I'm just going to take the notes from the bass channel and just bring them over because I'm a big old cheat. Maybe get rid of that note at the end and just play that. So let's have, I'm going to add a little bit of pump to that as well, just so it kind of pumps along with the rest of the track. Let's bring the floor up a bit. So yeah, I really like that patch. This is just a reminder that I should use Antidote more. So, Mitch Moose said, wow, that fills a whole soundscape in my headphones. Excellent, that's what I like to hear. So I'm not going to complicate that. I was thinking of adding some extra reverb, but you know what? I think there's enough going on there. So, one more thing just to kind of add a bit of movement, I think. Being as last week I was all about the Tom Pritchard sound design refills, I'm going to dip into there again, and I'm going to bring out an ARP. So I am actually kind of getting a bit of a sort of RPG vibe from this. And I mean, there's a patch here called Final Fantasy. I'm assuming that's Final Fantasy 7. I can't think of anything else that would be FFVII-ish. So I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to use the exact same kind of player configuration-ish. So I'm just going to set that to D minor. And I'm going to cheat and just copy and paste that again. So let's solo this. I like it, but I'm not entirely sold on that choice of ARP. Although let's... It's just not the right sound for me, I think, at the moment. So I'll just try some other stuff. That's interesting. I feel like if that was a little less busy, so I'm just going to turn the rate down. In fact, what I'll do is I'll turn down the rate, and to kind of compensate for that, I might add some extra echo here, so we get some nice sort of repeating notes, and, well, hopefully this will work. This was just a kind of quick idea. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I'll turn the delay off on the actual ARP, give it a bit of reverb on the ARP. So yes, I'm bringing out the DR1. I just feel like it sticks out a little too much at the moment, so... That's why I had the reverb, the feedback turned right down. There we go. That's better. Some bit of wobble as well. So I might turn that. That's better, right. ASM said, Adam, do you have any of the old stomp patches? I do somewhere. I think I have them in like an old legacy refill folder somewhere. I must admit I haven't dipped into those in quite a while. I like that. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that as it is, not overcomplicate it. So something I might do as well as the track goes on, I might automate that decay knob as well. Yeah, ASM, Adam, sorry, Tony Byrne said, I suggested Adam called the live stream album project Twitched on Fielding, which I thought that was 10 out of 10 pun action there. So that did give me a proper laugh earlier on. J-Lick has asked, what do you like about the RPG8 that you don't get from the dual arpeggiator? They're just different beasts. The reason I'm using it in this particular patch is because this patch was this is one of Tom Pritchard's patches, and it was put together before the existence of the dual arpeggiator. But one thing I quite like about it is you can control the pattern using the pattern knob on the combinator, which is really, really neat, which you can't do with the dual arpeggiator. They're just different beasts. I feel like dual arpeggiator is better if you have a clearer idea of kind of what a more specific idea for sort of your arpeggiator pattern and that kind of thing. It's a bit more in depth, but I kind of like the simplicity of the RPG8. So gonna leave that as it is and bring that over to my synth channel. I might start splitting these up and have like a separate atmosphere channel. So let's have let's bring that over to the third column here. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave that as it is. I might also pop the bass in the same column as the drums. Have a drum and bass channel, a drum and bass column. So that's nice and confusing. So cool. I'm just gonna whack that into a block for now, and I'm gonna take that and also create a second block because I feel like it'd be good to just slightly vary things up. Nothing too major, so just change the bass notes essentially. So I was kind of thinking of doing kind of a similar trick to what I frequently do. Is that an A sharp? No, it's not. Interesting. Actually, no. Let's have a look. Let's have a look here. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. So yeah, I'm just going to take that and just copy it across and... Actually, I feel like it'd be cool to bring in some kind of extra keys that I can bring in later in the track. So once again, I'm going to dip into my patch library folder again and go to the keys section. So I'm thinking like a nice sort of sort of drop kind of thing. So let's just have a look here. What sounds good? I'm not entirely sure this is going to be an appropriate patch, but I do like it. Actually, yeah, I'm just going to do my old favourite, just give that a load of DR1. Don't know why, just pretending I can't see it, it's right there. I really like that, but I'm not entirely convinced that's gonna cut through the mix. So, or it might. Let's give that a go. Actually, let's speed this along a little bit. So. Ooh. Oops. That could be nice. Yeah, okay, I like where this is going. I'm just going to follow the same sort of rhythmic pattern for this. So it's... I like that. I like that patch, but like I said, I'm not entirely convinced that's going to cut through the mix. Again, it's hard for me to tell because I'm wearing headphones, but let's give it a go. I might just try something else, like something kind of glassy. Compass sounds interesting. Let's try that. That's not really what I was going for, but I actually quite like that. It has kind of has a sort of 80s vibe to it, oddly enough. It's giving me kind of a wave station-y feel. So that's cool. I like it's kind of giving it a sort of bit more of a dramatic pull, I think. So Tony Bernard said, "This is lovely. Damn impressed with how you can produce this quickly with us nattering away in the comments. It's just multitasking." But I think having that sort of melodic pattern at the start really helps. So just to remind you, this is what it sounded like at the beginning, with extra hats apparently. So I think I've got loads of stuff I can use to kind of build the track out. I really feel like... Actually, no, I'll come to that later. I was thinking of adding an extra loop to give it some kind of like sort of rolling percussive kind of feel as things develop. But I'll bring that in later, I think, if I decide to do that. So I'm going to stop playing around with with cool. And the best thing about this as well is I'm still using the beat map save reminder. Excellent. I quite like the fact that this isn't making me jump out of my skin every time somebody activates it, but it is taking a bit of the fun out of it for me. So anyway, where was I? So yeah, I can just automate the density of the hats. So as the track goes on, just ramp that up. Let's bring that down. So I'm just gonna leave that as it is. It's just no fun. Busking bills. Yep, you're gonna have to remind yourself from now on. I'm gonna have to set myself like a little reminder to press Control S. So yeah, it's just no fun. So I'm gonna leave that as it is, and I'm gonna try building a track out of block 1, which is it's just 8 bars long at the moment. So it's just a nice 20-second block. Nice and simple. So I'm actually thinking it'd be nice to start with the piano, and I really like that pad. So let's just play those two on their own. I might automate the floor of the pump so it's not doesn't come in straight away. So if I just set that to 0 for now, right? Oh yeah, I find it helps if I don't have everything playing at the same time. So yeah. Clobmut said, got to use a second block this week. Definitely feels like a more than one block track. I've got 2 blocks, so I'm ready to go, ready to roll. Let's have a think about this. Instead of relying on the redrum for the kick and snare, into like having them in the step sequencer, I might just stick the kick and snare here, because otherwise I'm just going to get confused. So let's just keep it all in the sequencer. Nice and to the point. And let's have another note lane for the snare. Well, clap. So let's just copy and paste that a few times. And copy that, pop it there, and do the same again. And let's put that into block 2. So now I can go to song and just mute those. And I'm going to automate the beat map so that it's not triggering anything. I've just realized the cymbals are playing on here as well. Screw it, I can't be bothered. Right, I'm just gonna leave that on pattern 2, and yeah, let's stick those in the actual blocks as well, so I can just do this nice and easy. So that's there. I'm just making things more complicated for myself. There we go. Nice and easy. Oh, wait. No, I wanted to put that on a separate lane. Right, let's create a... What have I done here? Oh, okay, so do I have... Yeah, I've got 2 of those. That's crazy. Right. And let's do the same there. So I'm going to automate the hat and perk densities, so they're just going to be at 0 at the start of the track. So anyway, this is what I was thinking. No more telling Adam to add some saturation to the bass. That's a good idea. Right. Buskman, sorry, I'm catching up on the chat. Well, now I'm listening on headphones rather than TV speaker. I'm getting a much better stereo image and high-low frequency response. That's outstanding. Cool. So what I'm going to do at the start of the track is just have that one note. In fact, what I might do is really push the boat out and create a 3rd block just for the intro, just for simplicity's sake. So I just want that one sustained note there. So I can also have an extra note on the end. That'd be kind of nice. And just do the same. across the board. So that's going to be my sort of intro block. So what I might do actually is go back here, and slightly irking me how that pad re-triggers on the 5th bar. So let's just do that. Sorted. So I really like how yeah, it's a nice sound. Just gonna filter in the pad a bit at the start. I think it'd be nice to have. I might try experimenting with a. So some really interesting talk in the chat about sort of how you come up with ideas and don't obsess over things. Clomos kind of hit the nail on the head really with getting things done quick. I tend to commit to sounds really quickly. So it's more of a case of, I know I've got to write a tune in a couple of hours, so I can't really be obsessing over picking individual sounds, which is why I tend to dip into my patch library quite a lot, because I know that everything that's in there is going to sound reasonably good. So, yeah, and it's Dead Mouse streams on Twitch are pants for learning. I can't comment. I haven't checked any of them out. But yeah, it's definitely the commitment thing. Like, once you pick a sound, stick with it, just see where it goes. You can always change a sound as you get kind of more involved in a track. But the idea, like, just use a sound and kind of write something with it and just get things going. And it's a really interesting point actually, because I kind of got myself, it's a bit of a tangent. I've been doing a lot of guitar-based stuff recently, and I got stuck in this loop of coming up with an idea to record. So I'd record a guitar part, then I'd double track it and get it sounding as good and as tight as I possibly could. And then at that point, I'd realize, oh wait, this idea was kind of crap in the first place. Why did I waste all this time putting this idea together? So now I've started, instead of recording guitar parts immediately, I've started sketching them out with virtual instruments and sampled guitars. So then I can go back and re-record it with an actual guitar once I actually know the idea is good and it's got legs. So it's kind of it's one of those balance things. It's definitely worth sort of exploring ideas and sticking with one particular sound when you come across it, but also it's important to know when to let an idea go and not obsess too much over it, especially when it comes to recording stuff, because then you're just wasting your time if the idea isn't good in the first place. But anyway, so one thing I was actually thinking of doing was adding another, just like an atmospheric kind of pad type thing at the start of the track using grain. So I'm going to do something I've done a couple of times before. I'm going to dip into the factory sound bank folder and go into the chords section here and just see what's in here. There's some, maybe less of that. So just in case you weren't paying attention, here's some random noises. I think that could be interesting. This might be a terrible idea, but I think if I filter out the noise, that might work nicely as a sort of nice rounded pad. So let's set some loop points. Set the loop type to forward backwards. Turn the speed down a bit. Let's have a bit of jitter. Have a bit of pan spread. Well, who knows if this will work, but yeah. I think if I had the high pass filter on the pad, so that comes in a little slower, there's just a bit too much going on in the mids. In fact, what I might do is just move that over, have that come in at the start, and let's have those turned down so we don't have random percussion. Yeah, I like that. I might tease the piano a bit more at the start so it doesn't come in quite so quickly. And I think a bit of reverb on that would be quite nice. Not too much. Don't want to overdo it. Just a bit of the old DR1. Roll off the lows. Maybe turn the attack up on that. Yeah, that piano definitely comes in a little too suddenly, so I'm going to filter that in. Not just the high pass filter, but also the low pass filter, just as a bit of a kind of fade, so it's not quite so sudden. So this would be a nice place to bring in the bass, I think. Monkey Plus Plus says, this week on X-Files. Seriously, like, you may have been joking with that, but I actually love that comparison, so I am down with that. So yeah, it's really weird. I would say it kind of has a bit of a wave station-y feel to it, even though I haven't used a single instance of wave station. I'm not entirely sure what that's all about. So yeah. What was I doing? Yeah, I was going to automate the filter frequency so it's nice and deep when that comes in. And that can kind of open up over a couple of sections. Maybe not that deep. Wow, that's nice and seamless. I think I should have those keys sort of filter in a bit as well. That kick wasn't as loud before. I think it's because I've moved everything to the sequencer lane. It was around there before, I think. I'm gonna go back to the block and that's actually a very good question. Stand avid shirt stand. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I'm terrible. Why have you not done a full ambient track on these streams yet? So that's actually something I've thought about doing before, and I really should, because I really like writing ambient music. I just get the impression that it wouldn't be particularly interesting to watch, but I actually really like that thought process, and it might be a nice one to do. Maybe when I do, maybe for my next stream I could do something ambient-y. That'd be really cool. That's better. That was way too in my face before. Stan Davich. I'm serious. I really want to know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I like interesting names. I think that's just something that comes from having a name that's really bland, like Adam Fielding. Even if it is a screen name. Stan Daviccioni. There we go. Thank you. Do here is have half of block 3 and the other half can be block 1. Be a nice way. I didn't want the second half of block 3, I wanted the first half. There we go. Going to listen through to this and have a ponder. There's still loads of stuff I can introduce, so this is always a good place to be when you're arranging a track. Let's bring in that atmospheric thing as well, and I might have the hats come in over time there as well. So let's bring in that ARP. I might also fade that percussion in as well using a filter. something kind of interesting going on. Ah, right, I've just screwed up the that percussion somehow. The timing's completely off. Let's just let that extend. Yeah, that seems to make more sense. I'm not entirely sure why I didn't just do that in the first place, but here we go. That was slightly bugging me, and I thought it was just me for a second. So let's fix this across the blocks. So again, this great thing about using blocks is I can just make one change and it fixes everything across the track because I made a mistake. So again, this is kind of a thing about not getting too obsessed with individual sounds. I wasn't really massively paying attention to that when I put it together and missed the fact that it was completely off time-wise. So, whoops. Drabbit said, Adam, can we have this Europa patch? Which one do you mean? I mean, these will all be included in the project file anyway. I believe this is taken from Europa Relay. I tend to be peppering these throughout my project files, so it's like an extended sampler at this point. But yeah, Compass, unless you mean this init patch at the top. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll make a note to save that separate from the project. Just saying grab without going into the project file. I'll just put that in my Dropbox folder. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, for those unaware, you can grab the project files for everything that I work on during these streams. Sorry, my thought process just escaped me then. Senior moment. So yeah, so I tend to share all my project files via a Dropbox folder link, which has just popped up in the chat, and I'll share it. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll share it in the description below, and you can grab all of those. If you're unaware, I have a Patreon page as well, which basically at this point has a ton of music, but it also has all the stems for all of these tracks available now in audio format. So even if you're not using Reason or you don't have all of the instruments or what have you, you can just grab the stems and play around with those to your heart's content. They're basically there to do with as you please. So yeah, that's if you join as a producer tier. So yeah, check that out. And yeah, if you haven't checked out my Patreon page, then go to my website, adamfielding.com. Everything is on there in terms of me and who I am. So anyway, plug aside, that was a nice smooth advert in the middle of this stream. So yeah, I'm just going to continue. I'm just going to play this from the start and kind of have a think about where this goes. So I might just repeat that chord at the end there. So I might just grab block 3 and cheat a bit. I'll get to the comments in the chat in a second. So yeah, I just thought I'd keep quiet while I was messing around on that because I really enjoyed just listening to that. I'm really, really happy with how the atmospheres turned out at the start of that track. Yeah, Monkey Plus Plus said this track feels like it needs a title that's a phrase, like all we can do is pull the thread and see what it unravels or something. It's not a post-rock track, so I'm probably not going to go for that. But I do like the title "Pulling the Thread." That's kind of a neat idea. So yeah, brainstorming track titles. It is still kind of giving me a bit of an RPG vibe. So if you can think of any kind of references to RPGs, I would recognize. So anything from Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy 6 or 7. There we go. So Bum Cuddler said, this sounds like a soundtrack from a 90s futuristic movie. That makes me very happy. So Lockdown 2, Lockdowner. Excellent. Yeah, so I'm just going to kind of let this develop naturally. I don't want to force it. So let's go for it. That'd be kind of a nice place to have a little drop for a bit, and then come into the end with that lead. Quest Accepted is a track suggestion from Clovermutt. I like it. I'm leaning towards pulling the thread. Dravit said, "Is that the last RPGs you played?" I do. I'm not a massive RPG player. Like I think the most recent proper AAA RPG I played is The Witcher 3, which I love, and I am excited for Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, I feel like I don't have the time commitment necessary for RPGs nowadays. Fun fact, I've never owned a SNES. I was more of a Mega Drive guy. So there we go. My first experience with Chrono Trigger was via emulation because you couldn't actually get it in this country until the DS release, I believe, which is interesting. So stupid Squaresoft. I feel like I want to extend those keys a bit, so I think I'm using envelope 1, so if I slow that down... Actually, let's not do that. I could just open the filter up. I might just open the filter up. Yes, I'm gonna have a little break. Yes, everyone is guessed correctly. Break incoming. So, oh yeah, I'm just gonna. I I think I need a bit of I need a delay wash. That's what I need. So let's crank up the feedback on that. I think that'll be a nice wash of sound. So I'm going to filter that atmospheric thing out a bit as well. I really want that piano just to play with the pad. Just let them have a bit of a moment, because I just really like how they sit together. That was completely pointless. Some interesting comments. So Clodmite said, for a 10-year-old plugin, the Echo still sounds fantastic. Yeah, it really does. If anything, I feel like these streams have rekindled my appreciation for the Echo, because I was using Valhalla Delay pretty much exclusively for the past year or so. And yeah, it's a really good plugin. It's interesting because it is technically one of the first plugins that was included in Reason. It just wasn't labeled as a rack. One of the first rack extensions that was included in Reason. They just didn't label it as a rack extension when they released it. It was built using rack extension technology. So when rack extensions were released, they could say, "Hey, proof of concept. The Echo is already in the rack, and that's a rack extension," which I thought was very clever, and it's just really good. Busker Bills has asked, what's the best way to push a sound far left and far right, then pull back to the center? So, I mean, you could automate the pan pots. Something I like to do before, in fact, that's a really good idea. What I might do here is just automate the width, which is something I don't tend to do during these streams, but it's something I do all the time during my regular productions. So I'm just going to bring the width of those keys right down and then open it up again at the end of this section. So let's try this out. Actually, I want that to go like that. So the keys are being pulled into the center. I think that works really nicely. I'm gonna sort of adjust that. And I might also, stereo delay and then automate the channel width. That's pretty much exactly what I've done. Echo mode is an excellent rack extension as well. I really, really love it. Width automation is a really, really useful tool for kind of transitions and just giving things a bit of energy as well. So yeah, that's something I've actually been meaning to do during one of these streams for ages, and I always overlook it, and I'm not entirely sure why. So because we've got the ping pong delay on the Echo, that's kind of giving a really nice wide stereo field, and because I'm using unison on this particular patch as well, it's already quite a wide sound. So just by kind of bringing it right into the center, into the center of the stereo field, and then just widening up again before everything drops, it's just really nice. So I'll just play that, and here we go. I might introduce some sort of transitional thing there. Probably not a snort. I don't think that would work here. But I'm thinking like a metallic kind of sweep. Cool. So, nasal riser. So, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's going to work here. All right, I'll give the people what they want. I'll give you a nasal riser. It has been an awfully long time since I did it. So, for anyone who hasn't actually seen this, by the way, I realise there's some newcomers since I actually started doing this. So this will be an interesting eye-opener. So it's a very, very technical trick that I'm going to be doing. If you've never seen it before, the hype is real. So I'm going to create a little kind of riser just here so I can give it a bit of a transitional element. So I'm gonna bring myself into Reason. I'm gonna mute myself over here. Now I'm in Reason. Hello. So I am going to keep this in the percussive lane and pop on a bunch of reverb. Trust me, this is all very technical stuff. Also, I'm going to turn the volume up so you can actually hear me. So, yeah, need all the reverb. So, I've applied a massive high-pass filter and loads of reverb, and now we can get to recording this incredibly useful trick. Producers hate me for this one trick. Here we go. And there we go. That's recorded. So I'm just going to normalize that. So I've got plenty of audio to play with. So that is just the sound of me snorting. So that's the nasal riser. So I'm going to just leave that as it is. I might stretch that out a bit, just so we have a bit more to play with. But yeah, let's give that a go. I feel like I don't want to overdo the nasal riser. That's the one thing I definitely don't want to do. So I do need more reverb on it though. So yeah, damn it. I love that the setup for this makes Adam sound like he's broadcasting from the ISS. Fun fact, I saw the ISS fly over a couple of days ago. It was really neat. Clovermutt, loved it when he did the nasal riser in Reason Studio stream. Ryan was blown away. Yeah, that was funny. What is Bumcoddle? When is the nasal riser sample pack being released? That'll be a Patreon exclusive. That'll be the super exclusive tier. You have to pay like £50 per day to access. I wouldn't do that. Buskin Bills, yes. Not going to be able to do them soon. It's getting cold here in the UK. It is. It is. I'm actually enjoying the coolness. You may have noticed I'm wearing an actual shirt today instead of a t-shirt. I'm enjoying how much cooler it is. I'm just wondering, will that work if I transpose it up? Nah, I prefer the natural approach. I did notice the save reminder. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that. Going to leave that. So yeah, I've got this nice little break here. So I'm just going to kind of let that roll out a bit. Bring in the kick again. Bring the bass in as well. So we get this kind of slight rhythmic tickle with the pad as the pump kind of, the floor is increased. sure what's going on here. Oh, that atmosphere. So I'm just going to let that drop completely there. Actually, I might extend the filter out there just for the sake of it. So yeah, I really like when I like that filter. Yeah, Tony Burnett said I love when the bass comes in. Yeah, I really like how smooth that bass sounds there. I'm not going to bring the hats in just yet. Maybe have one more bit and then, yes, one more block 2 I think, and then into the final section of the track. Let's just use the actual low pass filter on the SSL mixer there. Slowly low pass the kick. Oh, filter it in, that's not a bad idea. Let's give that a go. Where having everything go through one channel kind of falls apart, so let's have a line mixer there. In fact, I'm just going to adjust the routing of my just going to adjust the routing of my setup here, so that's going out of there, and lovely. So I'm just going to use the disperser on the kick, so it doesn't need to be on the entire kit. Doesn't need to be on the snare. So yeah, so now I should be able to filter in the kick along with everything else. So let's do that. Hopefully this won't have messed anything up. Yeah, it sounds the same. That means it's worked. Right. So now I can just bring in something like let's bring in the old ECF42 for the kick, and yeah, just have it filter in nicely, I reckon. So yes, don't feel like the loon went unnoticed. It's just one of those things that I like to hear from time to time. Keeps me entertained. So now I can filter that in without affecting the rest of the kit. Oh, that's nice. I do like that. Thanks for the suggestion, Stan Daviccioni. Even though you've spelled out how to pronounce your name, I still feel like I'm mispronouncing it. I feel like I'm doing you a disservice. So I need kind of a bit of a, what I might do is process the entirety of these drums using a DL once we get a nice wash of reverb here. Actually, I'll use that as an aux send. So I want the density to come in a little sooner there with the hat. There we go. Then I'll have another little drop here just for a couple of bars. So no hats there. Don't want that to come in. So let's just have the. Let's go back to block 3. I just want a few bars of just a static note. Everything to come in at the end there. So this is either going to sound like a horrible mess, or it might work. Let's find out. So what I might do here is, whoa, let's not leave that on a wash there. So what I might do here is filter out the pad during that break and have that properly come back in. We don't have a winner on the track title yet. I'm not super into pangolin pipes, or I'm liking the sound of pulling the thread because it's cool. I don't know. I'm still open to suggestions. Like, I do like Pulling the Thread. It's a cool name, and it's good. Yeah, I like it. Good Luck Getting Nowhere is a good one. But I'm leaning. I'm going with my gut here. I feel like I need to be more committal when it comes to track titles as well. So I'm probably going to stick with Pulling the Thread, unless something really, really awesome grabs me. So keep the suggestions coming if you got them. Don't take this as a sign to stop. I feel like let's have another cheeky nasal riser, sort of just here. So I don't need it to be quite that ridiculous. I just want to bring it in this section here. Definitely want the bass to be more open during this section, so let's really open that filter up. Working out the arrangement here, I think. I feel like I haven't been commenting on the chat, and now we've got to the point where apparently I'm donating kidneys. So yeah, I still haven't set up anything to do with the channel points yet, because so earlier today I fully intended to add a bunch of sounds to the Twitch channel that could only be activated using channel points, and then I didn't. So that's pretty much the story of my life. Go figure. Can you spend those on Pizza Express like Tesco Club points? You can try. Actually, let's have... Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's not have a big old horrendous wash there, right? Says, interesting question from Stan in the chat about why I'm using insert effects instead of aux send effects. He's rightly pointed out that you lose some of the attack when you use them as insert effects, especially when you go over the 50% mark on the dry wet. Then you end up with more of the wet signal than the dry signal. So why am I doing that? But I actually quite like the sound of that kind of smearing effect that you get. So on things like that's this particular... I actually like how that's smearing the attack. Like that's actually something that I'm quite fond of, and you don't really get that with an aux send. So again, so if I just turn this down, you get kind of more of the attack. But I like it. The bass filter just kind of drops suddenly. I don't want that. Now I'm just getting to the point where I just kind of want to wrap this up, and yeah, I'm liking how it's gone. So let's have block 3 there instead of block 2. So we just get... actually, I want the first half of block 3. So we just get that one sustained note there. I've just completely missed an entire bar for some reason. So I'm just going to start filtering everything out. Fade the bass out. I feel like I might be milking the ending here, but I like it. So, sue me. So where's the filter on that atmosphere? I want that to filter out for a start. Right. It's 6 minutes. This is an Adam Fielding pop tune. I was not expected to get to 6 minutes, to be honest. Where is the atmosphere? So yeah, apologies for me being silent for a little while now. So I've just been kind of focusing on getting this arrangement right. So this is the radio edit. Love it. I particularly like that awkward tail at the end. Oh, that's a good idea. Dravitt suggests, hey Adam, I have an idea for a challenge. Write a 3.5-minute song. I'll write one too. Say your end marker to 3.5 in whatever tempo you choose, and that's all you get. See, it's kind of funny because this week I intended to write something that was about like 4 minutes ish. So yeah, that's actually a really cool idea. I'm totally down for that. Yeah. Right, working from the ending backwards. I mean, that's kind of how I work now anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I did write kind of the end first. So, I feel like I want to increase the high pass filter on the pad, which is handily here. So, yeah, so where is the filter for the piano? Do I even have a filter for the piano? I do. I thought I did. I'm just not using it enough. So let's have that properly filter out. I think I might just actually fade out with the volume knob because it doesn't seem to be working. Actually, let's change this name to reverb washes, and I'm going to stick the piano through that at the end. So get kind of a more ethereal finish. No. Right. I might do the same with the pad as well. And then I just fade that out at the end, and that'll be nice. I'm loving some of the suggestions in the chat. I've just seen a very lengthy comment, so I'll check that in a second. Excellent. Right, I will check that out in a second and save it. And I think I'm going to go with the name Pulling the Thread because I really like that. It's kind of, that sort of resonated with me. It's a good title. So Clovermite said in the chat, it's a great line from Luke Vibert in an interview, can't remember which one, but he basically said he writes for putting together an 8-bar loop he's happy with, getting the mix absolutely spot on, then he puts it in a folder marked done. Then whenever he feels like he dives into this folder, grabs one of these 8-bar tracks and unravels it into a full tune. He said it's his favourite part, almost like telling a story. That is super interesting. And yeah, I can totally understand how that would be a really fun way of working, because you have the idea ready to go and then you just unravel it, and that sounds really, really cool. And then Travis says, this is so much easier in house. You just do 32 bars of a hat or something and snort some coke. So, the real nasal riser is coke. It's been coke this whole time. My secret's out. Don't do drugs, kids. So yeah, I'm going to leave that for now. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. I'm just going to play this from start to finish, and I fully anticipate making some tweaks here and there, because it's kind of, it'll probably need a little bit of tweaking, because of course it will. So yeah, so I'm just going to play this and keep quiet and sort of keep an eye on the chat. So yeah, here we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to save that. And yeah, some very interesting comments in the chat. Excellent addition of the loon by Drabbit there at the end. Uh, so yeah, it is the only recent tune without it. I feel like I've been using that all over the place. But yeah, I feel like I don't want to mess around with this too much. Some interesting suggestions. So Stan suggested filtering in the kick at the start. I was going to try that. See, I'm sort of two minds about that, because on the one hand, I don't want to repeat myself too much. I'd say that I've repeated loads of blocks all over the place, but I feel like I'm already using the filtering and the kick trick once, but it does have a different feel to it. So you know what, I'm gonna try it at the start and see how that pans out. So where is the redrum? I always love it when devices get separated from the actual devices they're supposed to control. That's always fun. So, right. Yeah, I like that. That was a good shout. Much appreciated. Tony Bones said the drums are less forward in this track. Is this intentional? So, kinda. So, it's kind of interesting. I feel like with the most recent tracks I've been working on, I have been using lots of clicks and like kind of more snappy sounds instead of snares. And it's just a personal preference thing at the moment. I just happen to find that particular kind of sound quite satisfying. And I've done it again in this track. So the kick at the start of the track, I made sure not to pick anything that was too punchy or too weighty, because I just didn't feel like it would really suit the feel of the track. And ultimately the vibe, panned out. So it didn't, it wouldn't have worked in that instance. So I feel like I did pick the kick quite smartly. So yeah, there was a little bit of a conscious thought process in terms of which sounds I picked at the start of the track. And you don't want like a sort of Gabba-esque distorted kick playing throughout the track or anything like that. So yeah, it's sort of intentional, but it's just kind of the way the track panned out. So who knows, when I come back to it tomorrow, as I always do, I'll be making a few tweaks to the mix here and there. I may change it, but I feel like it's not really the kind of track where you want the drums to kind of whack you over the head. And sort of semi-related to that, Monkey Plus Plus said the click sounds a little dry in the track. So I had actually debated in my mind the idea of adding some reverb to this particular channel, but I actually quite like the dryness of it throughout the track. There's so much stuff washing around. I feel like it kind of helps to anchor the track to have something a bit dry in there. But again, I might change my mind tomorrow when I come back to this track. But I do, Travis said he kind of like, it sort of almost has a finger snappy sound to it. And I kind of agree with that. So I'm probably going to leave that for now and maybe revisit it tomorrow with a fresh pair of ears and have a think about it. So one thing I did actually want to try adding to this track was just a couple of like drop kicks in the track. Nothing too over the top. So I'm going to go into the Evolve Free folder, and I am actually going to purposefully pick a kick that's got kind of a bit of weight behind it. So that might actually be not that. Wanted that one. So this is going to have its own separate mix channel, I think, because I'm just going to drown it in reverb, and I want it separate from the other, from all the other drums. So this is just going to be drop kick. I don't want it to be super obvious. I'm just going to whack it through a whole load of reverb, like really long, and just filter it massively. So just use a low pass filter. Actually, I'm going to set that to not insert pre. So okay, that is quite excessive. Yes, I mean kicks with low end are not wrestling moves. Yeah, lots of suggestions about track folders and track groups and stuff in the chat. I'm not entirely sure where that comes from, but yes, I would very much like track folders and reason that would be very useful. So let's not have such a crazy... I feel like I may have overdone this. This might not work. It might. Who knows? Right. Just want a couple of kicks in here. So just go create a new note lane for that. So find it helps if you can actually hear it. So for some reason, that's turned way down. Not entirely sure why. Let's crank that back up. So just as a little bit of extra flavour. I feel like I want to filter more of that out. So yeah, interesting suggestion. Have that reverse into the kick itself. So I could bounce it to audio and reverse it that way, and I might do that if this doesn't pan out. But another way of doing that is using the RV7000, which I haven't used in a little while. So there is a algorithm called reverse, and it does exactly what you'd expect it to. So if I set the tempo sync on and set the length to a bar, now if I trigger, actually I want dry wet to be actually I want that to be right in the middle so we get both. So I'm just going to have that play a bar early, and let's see if that works. Right. So there we go. That's actually something I used to do quite a lot in my tracks. I stopped doing it. But yeah, good old RV7000. There we go. So it's not super obvious in the track. I might actually turn it up a bit because if I'm just going to crank it on the reed drum and just turn it down in the mixer. Yeah, so there we go. Nice little tip there. Always, never forget about the RV7000. It's a great little tool even now. And I used to, like I said, I used to do that quite a lot for reverse kind of crashes and stuff like that. I could have used that during the last stream actually when I was messing around with a reverse cymbal crash, except I think I just used a sampled reverse cymbal crash and didn't have to. But yeah, I might have a play with that when I come back to it. It's hard to know how it sits. Using headphones at the moment after working on this for a couple of hours, but I'm very happy with how that track's turned out. So yeah, stock verbs for life. I agree. So excellent. Yeah. Basketball says it sounds like it's not doubling the transient, so that is good. It shouldn't do. It should cut off like it should literally just cut off right before. So I think it does kind of smear. Well, obviously smears the kind of reverse tail because it's a reverb. That's how it works. But yeah, it's nice. I like it. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the track there, and I'm probably gonna wrap things up there as well. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that track turned out. It's a nice contrast to some of the stuff I've been working on recently, and I tend to think of these tracks in terms of groups of three. So during next week's stream, I'll probably be talking about the previous 3 tracks I've been working on because there's a lot to go through. Like there's, I'm trying to remember which track I wrote 3 weeks. Well, there was the dark techno-y track. which that'll be an interesting one to go back to. And then there's the last one, which was Liminal Sequence, which is the one that started off using a patch from Tom. I'm looking forward to revisiting that, and then slowing things right down with this track. So it's been I really, really, really enjoyed those 3 tracks in particular. They kind of have a very interesting vibe. And it's a nice way to kick off October as well. I feel like this track kind of has that sort of autumnal vibe to it a bit as well. Yeah, cool. Awesome. So I'm going to wrap things up there. And if you're watching this on Twitch, stick around because I'll answer some questions and stay around for sort of 10 minutes or so. But yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, then that's the end of the stream. And I hope you'll tune in for my next one. And thanks for sticking around and for making it to the end. So cheers and see you next time. Bye-bye.